Hello and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson. Just with a quick editor's note before we get on with the actual episode. This was recorded on Monday morning before the news that Monchi was leaving the club. However, I've listened back to the entire episode and I don't think there's anything in there that is specifically about a director of football or that kind of model. What I will say is we did a live show at about 11:30 on Monday night that is already out on the feed. It's called Monchi Leaves Villa. So if you want our thoughts about that, go there. But this is more about on the pitch. It's about Watkins not hitting the net. It's about Rodgers playing poorly. It's about Unai's tactical choices. It's about the on the pitch things more so than anything. So enjoy the show and thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast. This is our Q&A episode. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, and I'm joined by John Townley. This podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, and for the best discount code available, you can get it in the link down below. Now, I'm in my home office, and so is John. Hey. Welcome to the home studio, John. It feels wrong for you to be in here. This is like my own little personal space for remote recordings. This shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I'm invading your little setup. It's a nice setup though. Obviously no one can see what I'm looking at, but it's good. You got a light.
There isn't really that much that side.
No, you got your little Rotterdam shirts.
Yeah, nice.
That's not a MacBook. What's that called? Mac.
Yeah, iMac. I think.
Yeah, we have one, but I can't get used to it. I don't know why. I'm not good at big screens and small keyboards.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
Yeah, odd.
We're going to answer some questions just very quickly. I mean, a lot of these will be kind of, what's the problem and how do we deal with that going forward, rather than, well, what did you think about this in the Sunderland game? Because we don't want to look back too much, but just a summary from you, being up there, long day, not really worth it.
Well, we scored. That's it. We played against 10 men.
First question.
Newly promoted team. Yeah, terrible. I'm not seeing any improvement. Yeah, it's really miserable at the moment, and to not beat a 10-man Sunderland team, and not just that, but only have one shot on target when they're playing with 10 men, it's really bad. It's pretty atrocious, to be honest, especially for the levels that we've set ourselves. We're not West Ham, who last season were struggling and there's a lot of negativity around. We should be using everything we have to get back to where we were last season, competing for the Champions League. We seem a million miles away from that. This is the lowest point of Emery's tenure for me.
Easily.
Going back in the car in Sunderland, and God, I mean, the only game I've missed is the Mostar away match, so I've seen everything from the last 2 seasons in full, and then obviously start of this season, and you can kind of get lost in different things. I'm trying to think back to where did I feel like this before, and I haven't felt this worried previously. There was a run of matches last season. I think we'd won 1 in 6, I think it was, and then we made some winter signings, obviously Marlon Garcia and the 3 loanees who came in, and we had a radical upturn in form. So what I would say is that we know that we can do this. We can have bad runs of form and then we have good runs of form. But this feels so much different because it's the start of the season.
I was going to say, it's the start, isn't it?
It's the start.
Even if you'd have had the first, everyone keeps going on about, we've had the easiest run and all that. If you'd have got through that easiest run, and when you were, 6th with 8 or 9 points from these first 4 or 5, and then you have this period, it's still bad, but you can kind of go, well, we were okay 2 or 3 weeks ago. The fact that this has started from game week 1 and nothing's really changed. I mean, I said in the post-match that we were better, and got a little bit of like, what do you mean we're better? Well, we scored a goal in the league and we had a couple of chances that we didn't get the shot away, but Marlon should have gotten through, Watkins should have done better, Gesson should have scored his. So, that's way more of the goal than we've seen probably in every game combined. So better, but nowhere near the level, absolutely. You just want to hope that if Fulham again is slightly better, do you get away with it 1 week and you do just win 1-0?
Yeah, I think as the weeks go on, we're basically at this stage, we need a very quick turnaround now in terms of we need to beat Fulham and Burnley, really.
Yeah.
And if you do, I'm not saying we are.
Only 3 points off.
I don't think we are. I'm not going down that route again. Well, kind of. But what I'm saying is that you can't rule anything out really this season still, even though what we've seen so far is terrible. But if we win the next 2 games at home, you can't rule out us competing maybe in May for a European position. You simply can't. We didn't, just like last season, we said at the time when we were miles off, I think we just lost 4-1 to Palace, and we were told we're finishing the bottom half. There's no way we get in Europe. And we said, well, there's no reason to suggest that. There really isn't, because we don't know what we're going to do in the next 10 matches. And we've proved before that we can go on these runs. So back then, and we were correct in saying that, you can't rule us out for that. We were right there. I'm not saying right now, don't rule us out for Europe. Don't kind of get me wrong there. Right now, I'm not thinking about that whatsoever. I'm thinking we need to play well in the first half against Bologna. This is a step-by-step thing. But I'm at the point now where I do think that if we don't get those results against Fulham and Burnley, okay, well, I'm out of the league right now. I'm not even thinking about European football, if that makes sense, and which is such a shame. I'd be all in for the Europa League in terms of trying to get an objective, and we'll get on to a different video on that, right?
Yeah, so
Bologna preview / Europa League preview. But the point I'm trying to make is that the next 2 home games are so important for me, just because that really will, my feelings towards this season will hinge on that, basically. If we were to win both, okay, well, you look at the table and we are not going to be a million miles away from our objective, long way to go. But if we don't, well, we have absolutely no right to then go to Tottenham and win. And we play Liverpool, don't we? We play other teams that are now better than, with all respect to Burnley, Sunderland, Everton and Brentford. So, yeah, it's been an awful start. Will that continue? We will see. If it does continue, okay, this league campaign might be a bit of a write-off. But if we're to win them, then, well, there's green shoots, possibly. So this is why the next couple of weeks are really important before the next international break.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into these questions then. I've got them on the Mac over here. I feel like you shouldn't be able to see the questions because normally you can't.
I'm not going to read them because they're quite long, which is good.
They are long, yeah. First one from Connor. We've spoken about this before, so very quickly. I've been following Villa for 30 years, and in that time we've had a small handful of away kits that we never won a game in. Can we all agree that the black kit is cursed? We never should have worn it versus United on the final day. We've lost to Brentford twice, drew with 10-man Sunderland, and even lost to Walsall. Can we bin it and do shirts versus skins for the next away game? Thankfully we won't be playing in it, at least in the next 2, but yeah, curses, jinx and stuff. We've done an episode on that before. But it's not great though, is it? This kit, as soon as you see the graphic of the players wearing it, you go, oh, it's the black kit tomorrow. We've got no chance.
Well, we'll play against Feyenoord in the black kit, won't we?
Yeah.
So it will be back again next week. God. Yeah, I said from the United game, bin it.
I don't like
it's already bad vibes.
Wearing it from last season as well.
Yeah, and also that game, I can just see the still image of Morgan Rogers turning around to the ref and being like, that is enough for me. It's already scarred.
I know,
so
horrible.
Yeah, sorry if you've bought it, but no, not for me. It's not as bad as a kind of QuickBooks 15-16 shirt.
No. If we get relegated this year, it will be.
yeah, don't talk too soon. Yeah. But it's approaching that level, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
So bad.
Next question from Duke. After Unai called the players lazy when we are out of possession, list the players you think he's referring to.
All of them.
Yeah, it's the whole squad, isn't it?
Yeah, he actually said that himself. He kind of clarified that when he says we were being lazy in defence, he meant the whole team. He said he doesn't mean just the centre-backs or Matty Cash. He meant everyone. And you see the still frame of when Xhaka has seconds to head the ball.
So bad. Completely uncontested from the whole squad, basically.
Yeah, I think it essentially was. You could pick out 6 of them that aren't doing the job there. So that's what Emery means. When he says lazy, it's absolutely the right word to use. We were told, though, that he meant more kind of like soft and passive. But he could have gone stronger than lazy.
Yeah,
so it's not no one. It's not one of those where everyone I think was shocked about it. It was like they were lazy. Thanks for saying it, Unai. Like I think it was refreshing actually to hear him talk like that. He called them lazy. He said that Villa lacked fight. They weren't fighting, and also that they lacked a clear identity. All those things are correct. And what I would add to that is that I don't think Emery is kind of free from blame in the start to the season. In fact, obviously he's not, but especially Sunderland as well. I think I said in my little walk and talk that no one comes out of this with any credit. Everyone has some portion of blame in the match for me. And even if 5 of our players really kind of stood up and were counted for, then we probably don't fail to beat them with 10 men, but that's not the situation we're in now, so it has to turn around really quickly.
I thought there was a question in there. It might have been in the mailbag elsewhere, and I've not put it in our document. But it was along the lines of player versus manager. That when managers, generally speaking, call out the players, that's the kind of start of a slippery slope, isn't it? Of who wins that battle, player power or the manager? And I'm not suggesting it's that far for Villa yet, but what's the reaction to that? Do the players go, you know what, he's right, we do need to be better? Or does the owners or the players look at that as the manager's calling us out? That's not right. Get rid of him.
I think Villa is a unique situation where a lot of our players, with all respect, wouldn't be playing in the Champions League quarter-final without Unai Emery.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, let's have it right. He's squeezed everything out of our squad, and for that reason, I don't think anyone can be massively surprised that we've had a drop-off. But this level of drop-off has been, pretty staggering, to be honest, and it's shocked me. There'll be some people who, kind of claim that, I thought we'd be in a relegation fight because of our business or whatever it may be. But these are the players who last season came so close to finishing in the Champions League. We didn't have Rashford at that time, did we? We had Asensio, obviously, but even he came off the boil too. So this squad, this group of players, they were, they're the ones who did so well and have done so well for us. So why now has it all changed so much? That's why I look to the players more than Unai. I think, there's two big issues with us so far. One of them, and I'm not going to touch on it for long, but the rules haven't helped our mood, right? It's obviously meant that we can't improve and other teams have improved. So already there's a kind of a dark cloud. But then secondly, now that results haven't been going our way, what Emery is telling the players in these long meetings and the situation, Emery is so intense, so demanding that it's natural things fade in terms of the players' kind of focus or appetite, I guess, to go again and go again. This is why when Man City won or kept winning titles, it was such a remarkable thing, because to do it consistently is an incredible feat. And even last season, they had a pretty notable drop-off. I'm not saying that this is kind of Villa's version of that, but this happens. This is why I just think it's up to the players, really. We know that Watkins can score goals. We know that Rodgers can create chances, but we're not seeing this at all. I can go through, the rest of the team as well. It's not just those two players who aren't playing well, but they're particularly, worrying because they are last season the two players who scored pretty much all the goals, made all of the assists, along with Tielemans too. And Tielemans has obviously been a massive miss for us at the moment, but that's no excuse to not beat Sunderland. But just on that second point, to kind of finish that, I just feel like, are the players really there with what Unai is asking them to do? The answer so far is no, because you can't not win one of these matches. You can't only score one goal in 5 games, considering the opponents that we've played. It's just nowhere near good enough.
That Sunderland goal, we were watching a bit of Sky Sports while we were waiting to start, and they were kind of looking at that goal and praising Xhaka for his little deft header to put it through, which is basically stood still and let the ball just bounce off him. And
he was probably surprised he'd done there.
And they pull out the screen, the wider angle of it, and you've got, like I said, basically the whole Villa first team. They can't all go and win the ball, but they're in the vicinity of it. That at least 3 or 4 of them can absolutely go and put a challenge on Xhaka and at least jump for it. Yeah. That's not Emery's fault. It's not a tactical problem. Yeah. That's not, we didn't have the players in the right position. Your work rate and your appetite to go and see this game out is simply not there. You should not allow that ball to go unchallenged.
Yeah.
That's no way near good enough.
No, it's absolutely true. But then equally, we can now also criticise Emery and say, for me, Harvey Elliott has to be starting that match. I'm really surprised he wasn't. As well, and also his criticism of Elliott post-match, I think, was misplaced. That has to go to Rodgers. For me, if you're going to call someone out. What I would say is that, when you read that black and white, it's, he's just, hung Elliott out to dry. In the press conference, he was obviously explaining lots of different things, and in that moment, he was trying to basically talk about how Villa were forcing something in the final minutes. So then he just used Elliott as an example, because, maybe it was true. And he did kind of qualify it as well with players are adapting. But Elliott comes on the pitch and makes, I think it was 6 passes into the final third. Rodgers made 1, I think, in the game. Elliott had, I think it was 7 fewer touches or thereabouts compared to Rodgers, who played 80 minutes. Elliott played about half an hour. Come on. So, Emery doesn't have to sit down in this press conference and name players and say why they were bad and why, this needs improving, that is improving. But it just felt a bit strange or weird, I guess, when you're reading it back and you're seeing that Harvey Elliott is the player that's been criticised.
Passing it too quickly, or whatever the phrase was.
Well, Emery basically, and I see what he's trying to say, he's essentially trying to say that we need to link play before we play the killer pass. So Elliott would receive the ball and then look to play the ball in, but there's no options there. Would just be overturned, the ball would be overturned each and every time. I don't know if at Liverpool, I presume so at Liverpool, he has more... I don't know. Their structure is different to ours, so they play against this every week, right? To break down a low block, they're used to it. Villa maybe not so. So we have to take a bit more time on the ball to wait for the right movements and actions, and then Elliott can thread that ball, and that's something that we'll have to work on. But it just felt like he has to be starting that match for me. We've said it before. Emi Buendia can't be the guy that you're relying on from the start anymore. Jadon Sancho and Ian Maatsen, we did a piece on it earlier in the week. That for me has to be like a new dynamic that we need to give time to now. It has to be. Sancho makes one of the best chances we've had in the game. Really good cross. Watkins has completely missed the ball, and then Cash at the back post is probably slightly put off by the fact that Watkins hasn't touched it, And Maatsen gave us a new dynamic. For me, Luca Dean, he looks to have lost another yard of pace, to be honest. Happy that he's still in the squad because he's got a role to play. But
he's the Andy Robertson role now, right? That he was having criticism for playing every game and not looking right. Yeah. Now he's kind of coming in bits and pieces because of Kirkes. He looks better. I think Luca Dean will look better if he's not playing every single week as the starter. If he played every 3 or 4 games, you go, he's got good experience, good know-how, good nous. We need that every so often. But we haven't got the tactics board in front of us. But Tielemans of the left of the midfield with Sancho and Maatsen, you kind of want that side of the pitch to be, finally we've unlocked something.
Yep.
Harvey Elliott can do a little bit of the same on the other side, and this is why I still stand by that Villa will look different in time. We don't have that time to allow ourselves to kick into gear. It has to be now.
Yeah, and you have more pace, you have more creativity there with the different players that we have. Going the other way, not totally sure Maatsen defensively can work with Torres, for example. That left side would be very vulnerable for me. Does Mings then play? But then we missed Torres, I think, against Sunderland, so that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But just on that left side, Maatsen and Sancho, I want to see that. So again, that's another critique of Emery for me. They should be starting that match. And then if Sancho is blowing at 60 minutes, okay, but then you bring on, be it Gesson or Wendy or whatever. So I think we set up wrong. Wasn't a fan of the team selection. We can blame Emery, we can blame the players, but it does feel like only the players can put it right. Because for me, you still have enough on that pitch to beat 10-man Sunderland. The players have to show more, ultimately. So, no one comes out of it, with any credit, really.
All right, my time to hold the ball now. You're doing a bit too much fidgeting for my liking. Mike says, this is a long one, Watkins is being used as a scapegoat and it's very frustrating. He and anyone playing up front in this team is strangled and isolated, starved of service, but with no options to get involved. If he drops deep to try and get involved, then he's instantly double marked given the congestion. If he goes wide, there's either no one there to support or no one for him to aim for, as nobody's making runs for him. Yes, he had one chance today and missed it, but Voltemada didn't score, Gyökeres didn't score, Isak, Salah, Wood, João Pedro and Sesko did not score. All big name strikers, all had chances. Scoring isn't easy, and again, with the momentum and confidence that Villa don't have, then just having one chance for a game is unlikely to yield results. Watkins needs the players behind him to have movement and create space for him to move into. But that's what any striker needs to score. I think people need to back off him. It isn't about picking out individuals, but the whole team is underperforming in a system that is incredibly limiting. Now, I think there is a lot of truth there. However, we had this conversation last week, I think. Is it Watkins' game or is it a lack of service?
It's both now.
It is both, but Sunderland just felt like this game is completely passing him by. He's not involved in any way.
Yeah, I think I said in the last Q&A, you could put Haaland in the team against Everton and we wouldn't have scored. He wouldn't have scored. He wouldn't barely out of a touch. But at the same time, we can critique him and say that we should have scored at the end of the match to win us the game. And, people probably don't like me for the fact that I'm a big Watkins fan and I rarely criticise him because I think there's a lot of context needed sometimes, and I fully understand what's been said there about 7 or 8 strikers who didn't score at the weekend. But that doesn't mean we can't say that Watkins shouldn't. Watkins should have scored. So,
and the chances he had, I mean, they're offside, so they don't count anyway. But even they weren't like very good either.
Yeah. So it's different. There's literally just two sides to it. The service isn't there, but equally he has had two big chances. I would say one against Palace, which he missed, and then this one. But then we also know that Watkins doesn't always take all the chances. You need to give him a large quantity of them. But at the same time, it's not as if you're feeding the ball to Samatta when you've got to do everything for him, put it on a plate. Watkins will, with good movement and clever movement, make chances himself. And there's always something to be said about a player getting those chances, because it's a sign of a good striker, right? But we're playing that bad that we're hardly getting the ball in the box, let alone, to Watkins. So, yeah, there's two sides to this.
Because if he needs three chances to score when Villa are playing well in their fifth, we're probably going to give him three chances.
We've had 2 in 5 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One a game is not enough. Even a better striker than Watkins can miss one chance a game. But if you're giving them one chance a game and all the attention and all the analysis on that one chance and he didn't score, what else can we talk about? He's got to be better in those moments.
Yeah, and again, we do. I think whether we know it or not, we judge Watkins to high standards. We really do, because we compare him to the best strikers in the league, and that's because he is one of them. Because of his goal output and the fact that Arsenal wanted to sign him, not for the money that we wanted, but back in January, like Arteta was happy to have him as what would be a key point for them potentially winning the title. Like, this isn't a player who for 2 years is kind of blown hot, and now it's a situation where actually he's gone back down to his level. I don't believe that at all. He's been consistently one of the best strikers in the league. Sent England to a Euros final. So I don't have any kind of concerns over him long term or throughout the season. It's more just a concern for our performance. You need to give him chances, as does any striker need opportunities to score. So, yeah, my main concern is what's behind him rather than Watkins himself. But at the same time, has to score against Sunderland, should have scored against Palace. So, again, we can criticise him.
Yeah. Chelt Villa asks, I often hear John refer to Onana's profile, but what exactly does he mean? Does he just mean that he's tall? I don't think he's particularly threatening with the ball. I don't think he's created an awful lot. His strengths probably are covering ground and intercepting passes. I don't really have a burning desire to understand this, but I also can't listen to an hour of people asking if we're going to get relegated. So I'd love to understand more and ask something different, which is a fair kind of pivot away from everything else.
I presume that's Cheltenham Villa.
I think so, yeah.
I spent 3 years of my life in Cheltenham at university. So.
Is this your alternative account you just want to talk about now?
No.
Obviously not available at the moment. That's a massive bugbear and a real frustration for everybody. But when he is playing and available, what do you mean by profile?
I genuinely think he can be unstoppable on his day, Onana. I really do. I think we saw it at the back end of last season.
Sorry. Have you ever seen that tweet that goes around and it's like those kind of phrases, but it's the bad version?
Yeah,
so it's
stoppable on his day.
Absolutely stoppable on his day.
Strikes confidence into defenders. Yeah, it's funny. No, it's not that it's just tall. Obviously, that does help, though. He's very rangy. He can cover ground effortlessly. I think there are very few players at the kind of top level of football who can do what he is able to.
What he could.
Yes, I think that's the key thing. I think he's got all the kind of qualities that, once refined, would be an outstanding midfielder for many Premier League teams, if not all of them. And we have that in our ranks. That's what's frustrating, because he's always injured. So Emery doesn't have the time, firstly, even on the training pitch, to get him up to speed of exactly what he wants. We know it can take a long period of time, and I do think we saw at the back end of last season his qualities. Who would you compare Onana to in the Premier League in terms of other midfielders?
The one that I've seen when he's good, and this player I'm about to say is way better than Onana.
Yeah.
Yaya Toure. I saw some comparisons to him when he's been good for us. That long strides, powerful running, that kind of thing. But we haven't seen
I don't think Onana will reach those heights, because Toure was one of the best midfielders in the Premier League era. But that's the kind of profile, or that's the way that I'd like to see Onana develop his game. Essentially, he can be box to box. I think sometimes we have misprofiled him in a way that I think Emery wants him to be this kind of modern number 6, like break up play, cover ground, but then also offload it and take it in tight spaces. Actually, I think he can be a bit more of a, I don't know, maybe like a McTominay at Napoli, if that makes sense. Someone who's got a bit more freedom to crash the box, to be a bit more of a free spirit. You don't want Amadou Onana running behind your defence. You don't want him, kind of getting in your faces, pressing you, all of those different things. And I think he's capable of doing that, but he just has to stay fit. So, like the Newcastle game, when he crashed the ball in from outside the box, like he's clearly got a lot of quality. The 4-1 match I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, for me, has all the essentially like raw materials to be that type of player. But I think we need to do a couple of things first. We need to make sure he can stay fit, but then also profile him in the right way. I think he's sometimes kind of held back, I think, when he plays in, like a double pivot, or if he's Kamara's replacement, or even if, when he plays alongside Kamara sometimes, I just don't think he has the licence to do what he can do best. And we've seen that in stages during his Villa career so far. Like the start of last season, he scored 3 goals in Villa's first 3 away games, which was Leicester, West Ham on the opening day, and Young Boys. And that's specifically the Young Boys one. Again, we haven't seen him take the ball and strike at goal all that often, but when we have, I can see at least 2 goals that he's scored from those distances. I just think there's a lot to his game that we haven't unlocked. Essentially, there's a lot there that I see, and no, it's not just because he's tall. I've said before, actually, he may as well be 5'7". Realistically, in the way that we use him sometimes, because it's to cover ground. Obviously, if you're 5'7", your legs are smaller. But the point being that we're not utilising what he's best at, and that's being a real threat in the air on set pieces. We saw it at the start of last season, but then we kind of went away from that a bit, and he's less of a worry, I think, and that's what I think he can be. It's opposition teams view him as someone who they can probably get at and press, because sometimes I think he's probably too tall to take the ball in tight areas and whatnot. So let's not ask him to do all of those things. Let Tielemans do that, let other players do it, but let him be a free spirit and let him crash the box, let him get around the pitch, make up numbers in attacking and defensive phases as well. So for me there's a lot there to like, but the guy's not fit at the moment. So
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think a lot of people disagree with that and think that he's not that player. What's John on about? We haven't seen enough of that. He's never fit. He's not good enough for a £50 million player. You've got to be better than that. And I think some of that criticism is also fair. I was listening, I was trying to find something on my phone. There was a comment we had last week, I think, about, you said there about Onana having the tools to do it but not quite kind of utilising them. So I made a similar comparison about like either Villa's business or Emery, that is a great analogy about like having the right tools in the toolbox or something but not knowing how to use them or something like that. And it was like, I was trying to find it and I can't, but I was like, oh, that's spot on, like I want to use that and I can't find it. But that kind of feels how Villa are, and certain parts of it are, like you said, misprofiled or aren't being, you're trying to change a bathroom with a saw or something rather than a spanner.
I don't know, just to kind of pull something out. So again, Onana has to stay fit. That's the thing. That's the first point on any of these conversations. But if Arsenal signed him, I think it'd be a great asset for Arsenal. But we have that, but we're not utilising him in the right way. For me, we have in stages during his time at Villa, but right now, it's not on the pitch. But if you were to play Onana against Bologna, for example, I think we know what he would do. He would play in the double pivot, he would get around, but his job mainly would be to kind of screen and to take the ball and then offload it. I want to see him around the pitch, I want to see him closer to the striker. That would cause problems, that scares teams. 6'5" player who's unpredictable and has different assets to his game. We can go direct, we can we can play off him. That causes problems, and for me I just think there's a big asset that we have here, literally, and we're using him like he doesn't have those qualities.
We're going to move on now to Rory, who said nobody realistically wants Emery out in any way, shape or form. Our YouTube comments would disagree. And the man has more than enough credit in the bank. However, how risky is it to have the whole club set up around one man? If he was to go, by whatever means, how much trouble would we be in? I don't want to keep going back to it, but I did the interview with Guillaume Balaguer last week and I asked him about this, because obviously he's spoke to a lot of people in the club and he's written this book, and he kind of said that Emery is the guy at the moment. Of course he is, and we all know that. That's not new information to anybody. But he feels that we're starting to transition a little bit into what Manchester City were. So if you look at the two Manchester clubs, United and City, United were Alex Ferguson and nothing else. He left, completely gone to for a decade. The plan with Man City is Guardiola is everything, but they're building the right infrastructure around him, so they've got like the best director of football, the best scout or whatever around that. Yeah. So that if you can find the next Guardiola in terms of on the pitch, on the training pitch coaching, he would have everything around him. Whereas with United, it was the manager and nothing. Yeah. And he took that away and the whole thing crumbled. If you took Emery away now, I think the whole thing crumbles. But the plan would be over the next couple of seasons to build that team around him, that if he was to go, yeah, you're going to lose his assistant manager and the coaches and stuff, but some of those bits around the edges would still be there.
Emery's going to be here for another 3 years. Okay, well, that's more than enough time to plan.
It gives us time to build and plan. Yeah, if he went next week, we'd be in real trouble.
Yeah, or even, I think, at the end of the season.
Yeah, which is why I don't get the Emery out. Okay, Iraola. Well, he might be good, but it changes everything.
To answer the question directly, yeah, I think we would be in trouble if Emery goes. When I say soon, I don't mean. I'm not talking about. I'm talking. Let's just say at the end of the season, we either win the Europa League or don't win the Europa League. And Emery, I don't know. Emery says in April, okay, kind of plan for my. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just giving it as an example. We're not talking about on the pitch as well, because we know we need a rebuild on the pitch. So that's a massive amount of change. If we're talking 3 years down the line, but the footballing department stay the same, yeah, that's enough time to plan ahead. But I don't think we are looking at that right now, considering the start that we've made and the challenges that we face. So yeah, the next months are going to be interesting. Really, I think that's the kind of the key point. We've had a terrible start. I don't think the players are listening to Unai as much as they once were, but that's not to suggest that they've lost faith or anything like that. I don't think they possibly can.
It's a strange dynamic though, isn't it, that? Because if, let's say...
He's the reason why we are where we are.
You take Morgan Rogers, for example, right? Any of these players, you look at them and they're better now than they were when they were signed for the club, I think, almost across the board.
Yeah.
And that's because of Emery. So why you stop listening to the guy that put you in this position in the first place is beyond me. But if you don't want to be here anymore and your head's not in it, whether that's Rogers, Watkins, Tielemans, Torres, whoever, you reckon Chelsea are going to sign Morgan Rogers at this standard?
Well,
you've got to play to a certain level to get your big move if you want to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, it's a long season though, so let's see. But what I would say is that Villa essentially didn't entertain offers for the players that they don't want to sell. So, they could have been open to going or not. They were never going to go. And, it played out like that. As we were saying, Villa's plan was to have continuity. I thought that would be the best kind of state of play, really. So far, that hasn't turned out to be the case. But again, we have to wait and see what happens in the next few weeks because we're still, obviously, in September. Yeah. But just to go back to the question, have we built the club around Emery and is that a problem? It would be a problem for me, yeah, if things change within the next year, should we say. I think there's too much to do there for it to be particularly smooth.
Yeah, let's do two that are a bit more positive from Chris and Terry. Chris says, it's more of an opinion rather than a question, but since our international break reset, we have gone to 2 tricky away grounds and got 2 points whilst playing poorly. If we can get back-to-back wins at Fortress Villa Park, things look better. Nick points on the road and win your home games is the key to a decent season. And Terry says, for all the doom and gloom, if Villa had won today, or yesterday, or whenever the game was, then we'd have been 15th, above Forest and only a point behind Newcastle. Not taking anything away from it being dreadful, but we aren't adrift at all, and it'd only be a small swing in results to get us in the mix with our rivals.
That's what we were saying earlier, really.
Yeah, the table isn't that important at the moment, and we're not bottom, we're not far away, but we're not on 0 points. Man City are on 7, I think, off the top of my head. We're not, it's not a complete disaster as the guys there are saying. But flip that the other way and say we'll win one game then and we're already up there.
Yeah, well, this is what I was saying about the next 2 home games before the next break. That's why they're so important for me, because if you don't win those matches, well, then you are going to be cut adrift, and there'd be no suggestion at all that if you can't beat those teams, why you would then go to Tottenham and get a result. But then equally, if you were to win them, okay, you have a break then, and you kind of try and reset again, with the knowledge that you are either above Newcastle or you are in a better position than certainly where you are now. But that's kind of wishful thinking at the same time. We have to see so much more. The only thing I would say to the first question, I completely understand the point he's making there. We haven't played well at all, but you got a point at Everton, but you got a point at Sunderland. We need to win at those places though, don't we? We've set the level now where if we're trying to compete for European football, we have to go to those places and get results. Because we haven't done that, now we have to go to Bournemouth and win. Now we have to go to what's comparable to Sunderland.
Ipswich.
No, again, like it's tricky. It's one of the first home games of the season. The mood is buoyant. I don't know.
I don't think they'll go down either.
No, so I'm trying to compare it, but it doesn't really matter. Essentially, though, like we're not in a position now for me to say, okay, so we're going to go to Leeds, or we're going to not Leeds. Leeds is a crap example. Come on, John, Jesus. Bournemouth. Okay, we go to Bournemouth and get a point. No, I think we need to win those matches now because we've had such a bad start. Because this is again on paper the easiest run of fixtures at the start of the season, and I agree with that. We haven't played anyone who, apart from maybe Newcastle, who you'd say, oh, they should finish above Villa at the start of the season, and I think that's true. I think very few people would put a Crystal Palace above us. Maybe they would now.
They would now, yeah.
But at the start of the season, we looked at that and thought very differently about, we go to Sunderland, we need to win. Go to Everton, that's a good chance to win. So I get it, but I think that's probably proof about how far we've fallen, to be perfectly honest with you. We're a team who tries to win away matches against teams who should be finishing below us, who have worse squads than ours. And now that's changed.
I'm going to do two next from Mike. Rodgers is a championship player, massively overrated by fans. And with Rodgers and Watkins on the pitch, it was like Sunderland with a team that had a one-man advantage. That one was from Rolinson. Good work on the mailbag names, everybody. Those are the two biggest critiques, I think, Rodgers and Watkins this season so far. Certainly Rodgers has been nowhere near the level, doesn't look interested.
He's not a championship player, though.
He's not a championship player. People forget very quickly how good he was. He's won PFA Young Player of the Year last year, like by his peers, clearly rated very highly, plays for England.
He might start for England at the World Cup as well. And I say that even without his form.
Yeah, and will one day get a move to a big club for Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, whatever. I genuinely believe that he will end up somewhere like that.
His level has been championship level.
Yeah, this season, player. Absolutely. And Watkins, again, very critical of, as we said before, not being involved in the game, not getting the service, not taking his chances. I think across the board, those two are the biggest red flags so far for me. But that does not absolve the others from blame either, because Tielemans hasn't played well this season. Obviously, he's injured at the moment. And McGinn, I don't think... Lots of players haven't played anywhere near the level, which is why we are where we are. It's just those two, as you said, they were the source of goals last year.
Yeah.
So if they're not playing well, then we're not going to score.
No, exactly. And I said this before, though.
We're not going to score enough.
Not cutting them slack, but this is where you need Marlon, Gesson, Buendia, Dean, McGinn. You need everyone else to chip in.
Yeah.
And you have Sancho coming off the bench and making chances. Unfortunately, it fell to Watkins, who didn't make contact with the header. But the point being, those are two of our best players. They've been nowhere near the level that they've set themselves.
And you're right, actually, that has happened before, but you can get away with it because someone else scored the winner.
Yeah. Or you get away with it because Matty Cash scores from distance and it's like, well, the keeper should do better, but we've got a goal through, hooker by crook. You don't concede how we did, though. Yeah. So, yeah, it's over the course of a season, these things happen. Players go through bad runs of form, some worse than others, and then we'll, pick up. That has to happen really quickly again, because all of a sudden, if Watkins and Rodgers aren't going to respond in the right way, then we are going to be cut adrift by November, and the league campaign will feel like a chore, really. And then you're fully focused on Europe, but then there's no suggestion you're going to win that if you can't beat Sunderland. So, man,
we'll talk about the Europa League on Wednesday, but we got no chance of winning that competition at the moment. Absolutely none.
Well, no, because we're not scoring goals. But again, that's
that can change.
Yeah, it can and it needs to.
Yeah. Okay. James says, as he's in a position to question Emery, could John please ask why he is seemingly discouraging pace and urgency? Every fan sees the issue, but Unai seems to be reluctant in raising the tempo. I'm aware we have limited speed merchants, but we could play the ball far quicker. Yeah, the pace of the play is the thing for me rather than fast players. It's quicker movement. And there was actually one period, I can't remember who was involved, but there was a couple of 1-2s. I think Buendia and Dean, maybe, was it? Yesterday?
Yeah. And that came from Buendia, Rodgers, Dean.
Yeah. And that's like, that there is what gives me the encouragement that if you can do that for the game, we might actually win some football matches. They're clearly not bad footballers. There was moments there.
Yeah, we've asked Emery about control, which is, not as specific as what James is asking there, and I will do that, but asking more about the control in terms of, so his, not necessarily build-up, but, like urgency, right? So, and we know the answer that Emery will give. It will be along the lines of, we need control of the ball to create those options, which is essentially the critique that he had of Elliott, which was he was doing things too quickly because there wasn't enough options there for him to make that pass, be it sideways or forward. I can ask the question, but again, I think we could probably largely answer it now and say that Emery wants control of the ball. That's how he sees the game. You look at other managers, they view control in different ways. For example, Nuno views control of the match as a defensive part of the match, so setting it well, knowing that the opposition can't break through you and keeping clean sheets, that's control, because you are controlling, you're kind of controlling them without the ball, if that makes sense, and then you hit them on the counter-attack, and that's how they play. Emery views that as ball possession, so he'll always say that we need ball possession, we need to be calm on the ball and composed and playing the right structure. So he has a mental picture of this is how he wants each phase of play to be, and in training this is exactly what they go anyway. It's exactly what they go through. When I watched training out in America, it was very structured in terms of different passages of play, working with different players in different zones. That's how he views it. So in his head, Villa, obviously we need to play quicker, but at the same time I think in his head he thinks, well, we could kind of play against most opposition and this same passage will work, because if our players execute it, we'll get in this area and then it's up to us to score it. Exactly. Yeah, it's not at the moment. It was previously. We know that our controlled build-up and whatnot, and playing through different lanes, that did work for us. I think teams are now showing us more respect, so that is a problem. We're not playing with that urgency, because what Emery is kind of telling the team on in training probably doesn't lend itself to that, because instead of playing 1-2 passes and you're in, it's more, well, I'm not going to play that one because I need to involve this in this pattern of play. So yeah, it's more frustrating as well, because when you see us have so much of the ball and not really doing much with it, we're not penetrating and running down the wing, and then you turn back and play it inside, it feels like, like if we can't buy a goal, it's almost like we're actively discouraging it at the same time, like we're making it harder for ourselves to find that perfect moment. Whereas, for example, one of the best chances that we had against Sunderland was Rodgers wins a free kick on the right side, Cash, I think, floats it in, Sunderland don't defend it, Rodgers passes it across to Gesson, and all of a sudden that's a golden chance we miss. There's no beauty in that. It's a ball in the box, and it's
a very simple game,
and a second ball. Yeah, it can be a simple game, and that's why it's been so frustrating. Cash as well, just having a drive from long range, the only shot on target we had, and it went in. So it feels almost like the gods are telling us, just play simpler. That your chances here are coming from something that you're not even. No one's tried to make that chance for Gesson, really. It's just fallen for us. Cash has had that shot without anyone. If Emery could pause, he would say, "Don't shoot," probably. So, it's right. We need to play more urgency, more pace, but it's another thing doing that, and then it's another thing Emery wanting it as well, because I don't think he does. For him, tempo, it needs to be controlled, and I think that's even more frustrating when we can't score.
Just on kind of the presser access, I guess, that's what, I don't want to say our USP of the podcast, because we're here to give our opinion, but you speak to Emery, you were there. The criticism I think you get, or journalists get, when it isn't going well is, you don't ask the hard questions. Why don't you just say this? Why don't you just say that? And it's often a very basic, why is Rodgers playing every minute for? He's terrible at the moment. Could you go into a presser and ask that?
Well, you can ask in a certain way, and we have. We asked that last weekend, is Rodgers undroppable, essentially, and Emery spoke about something else that's not related to it. So it's up to Unai if he wants to kind of go into these subjects. Yesterday it was brilliant to see him be open and kind of transparent about what he really thinks about the team and what he saw against Sunderland. But we can probe Emery and ask him these questions, but it's up to him to answer them in the best way. Obviously there's a something of, no, it's not a language barrier. Emery speaks 5 languages and speaks English much better than I'll ever speak Spanish. But how do I put it? For him to kind of convey exactly what he wants to say, it's up to him if he wants to choose to kind of go down into a subject and use the wrong word or what it may be. And I think part of his man management style is to protect Obviously, we didn't quite see that on Sunday, but it gets to a point where you have to speak your mind. So no asking difficult questions is that's fine, but it's will Emery.
Yeah.
Will Emery give an answer that's essentially worth publishing? And that's part of man management at times. I guess managers can say too much.
Because this lazy thing it's on Match of the Day, it's on every headline.
For example,
he might not be that open again now because he doesn't want to get taken out of context.
Russell Martins is going to be on all the headlines in Scotland and even in England, whatever it may be, because he talks his mind and he's not afraid to say what he thinks. And that's great. But if he was more like Philippe Clement or something and very very passive and subdued, can anyone think of a Philippe Clement quote? I
can barely even picture what he looks like, to be honest.
Yeah, well, fair enough. But the point being that Emery, it's up to him if he wants to. Steven Gerrard, for example, very open with the media. A lot of what he said, you don't have to probe him to ask particularly difficult questions. He'll talk to you about what he thinks, and it's and that's his prerogative. But he would get criticised heavily, and rightly so, from some of the stuff that he said. For example, Tyrone Mings, until he looks me in the eye or whatever. That's a quote that will never leave him about his man management. Emery would never say any of that sort of thing, even if we were probing on, why is John McGinn still your captain? Shouldn't it be this player or that sort of thing? He will say that John McGinn's a good leader. He will never say, blah blah blah. So. It's up to Emery really to give to give us great lines too, and that's the art of man management. But no, of course we'll ask him difficult questions. This is the worst start for the season for top flight season since like '65 or something.
Wow. Next question is from Paul. It's not really a question; it's more just a comment. I'm guilty too, but do we all just need to wind it in a bit? There are clearly a few issues going on, but if you step back, the biggest issue right now is pretty much an entire team with zero confidence. Anybody who's played in a football team at any level knows how crippling lack of confidence can be. Regardless, I would leave Ollie and Rodgers out of the team for a few games, but we might all just need to calm down and back a bunch of lads and manager who have given us so much over the last few years. It will, in capitals, get better up the Villa. We've done 40 odd minutes? 45 minutes, and a lot of it has been this is bad, this is terrible, because that's how we feel, and that's a fact at the moment. However, I do feel like it will get better, because I
can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
Sorry, I smiled there. I shouldn't
I feel like we've probably done that joke in every episode so far. But it's got to change. It's got the players here are good players. The manager has got bags of experience. There isn't any way that it can be this bad.
Yeah, during the Brentford game, I said this. Like the away fans were, fantastic at Sunderland again.
Was there some boos at the end?
I genuinely didn't hear that, but that's because I'm among the Sunderland fans.
Yeah, I saw a tweet about it, but I didn't know whether that was true or not.
I don't know. I couldn't comment on that. But it's all on the players in the team. They need to show us something to believe again.
Yeah.
Really. So if they don't do that against Bologna and we don't win, it's going to continue. The mood will continue to be bad, and it will seep into the home fans, and there'll be real frustration. We've seen how kind of toxic it can get. We're not there yet, but I don't think it will take much because this start has been terribly bad. I think it's good in a way that a lot of this has been played away from Villa Park. We've only played twice, Newcastle and Palace, so obviously we haven't scored at home, but that Palace game was kind of clouded by Emi Martinez's Emi Martinez not being in the team, and he had deadline day the next day. But now we've got 3 of the next 4 at home before the break. You need to win them all, really, to stop any sort of negativity. I know it's step by step, but comments right though. Like all we can do is support. Shouting and being negative won't help, but also you have every right to do it because, frankly, the Europa League tickets are too much money. The Champions League tickets were too much money last year, and now players are, have come, completely off the boil. They've been fantastic for us for 3 years. But the rate in which the decline has happened and how quickly it's happened, it's really concerning and worrying. It hasn't been a gradual thing of, over the course of weeks. I mean, last season, we bowed out by Duran goals, and new winter signings helped us have some kind of fresh impetus. But these players are still more than good enough to be giving out what they are at the moment. So, all we can do is support. But you need to see something more on the pitch, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes both ways.
There's a couple here from Matt and Stacey. It's almost at the end of the show here. Is this squad much worse than the Leicester one that went down? Tielemans, Maddison, Barnes, Vardy, Dewsbury Hall, etc. They'd been top 5 and then 8th the 3 previous years. The commentators on Sunday said, it does look like Sunderland just want this more. Something is badly wrong. Stacey, at what point do we start to have the too good to go down debate? And if the wider sports media start to have that discussion, should we be even more worried? Now, this came up on the post-match. I stand by, we will not be relegated. Could we be in trouble and finish 15th? Yeah, at the moment, definitely. Will we actually go down? No, I don't think we will. The too good to go down thing, trust me, it's not beyond me. We've been here before. We thought we were better than relegation in 2015 and we were crap then, which was mad in hindsight.
Yeah.
But I don't have this thing, we're too big to go down. We're way better than the Championship. Yeah. We're not. If you go down, you absolutely deserve it. But I just think, and I've said it all the way through, there is too much quality in there. We're not seeing any of it at the moment, but there's too much quality in there to get more than 35 points. And getting 40 points would be a disastrous season in the context of where we want to be. But you would stay up on that. So just as the question is, will we get relegated? No. Do you think we'll get relegated? Because I seem to be on my own on this. That I'm the only one saying we're going to go down.
No.
Are you sure you're going to stand by that, Dan? Yeah? For now?
Yeah. Obviously, if we stay as we are, we probably will go down. But we only need a bit of form, and we need to improve a bit more to it sounds mad to even talk about this, to be honest with you, but I get it. We've been terrible and we are deservedly behind all 3 newly promoted teams. No one can argue with that, but I think, put it this way, if we're saying, we can't think about Europe, we can't think about this, we can't think about that, I don't think we can think about anything about what the end goal is, or not the end goal, what the conclusion will be at the end of the season. That's so far away. Right now, we just need to try and, again, have a good first half against Bologna. I'm not thinking about anything in the future. Can we get relegated? Yeah. Could we win the title? Yeah. Anything can happen. It's just football. But are these things going to happen? Well, no, I don't know. Like earlier in the year when we were, again, saying, there's no way Villa can compete for Europe. Why? Yeah. We're 6 points off 5th or whatever it was, but Chelsea's so much better. Well, if we win our games, we'll be fine. It's exactly what happened. So we'll say it again. If Villa pick up form, and the players that we have now who beat PSG and came within a goal of overcoming the the league's drawing at the time anyway, to the Champions League winners, if we get a bit better, we'll be fine. But we don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, do we? We can't sit here and say anything's going to happen. But do I think we're going to get relegated right now? No, I don't.
There was a great comment on the post-match this is just if, buts and maybes. That's football conversation, isn't it?
Welcome to September the 22nd. Right? Yeah,
nobody knows. That's the point.
Yeah. This is it, and obviously fine to ask the question. I get the valid. It's more.
It's valid to ask it.
Are Villa going down? Are Villa going to finish 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th? I've absolutely no idea. But is this squad much worse than Leicester's? That's more of a pertinent question. Yeah. That I think that's the thing to answer. And is it better than Leicester's squad? Yeah, it is.
I agree.
It's got different things to it that Leicester didn't have, and I don't know what Leicester did when they got relegated, but the
defence wasn't very good, was it? Although again, at the moment, neither is ours.
No, but yeah, I judge these questions are for further down the line. Like even the only teams who are really talking about this sort of thing are Wolves, West Ham, some of the newly promoted teams. We shouldn't be talking about it right now because it's not. We have so much more credit in the bank, and we know that these players. It feels like I'm talking to a wall a little bit when I say these things because for me it's
just there, mate.
Well, because I am. That's kind of my point. But I'm looking blankly into the future because we don't know what's going to happen. But all we can go off is the last few years, and that I'm pretty certain we're still the team with the 4th most points in the Premier League under Emery. We have an exceptional manager. Our players, again, apart from Rashford, who was injured pretty much from the back end of his loan spell, essentially come off the boil. These players are the ones who nearly got in the Champions League. They beat Fulham, Bournemouth, nearly got a point out of City away. Should have probably done that. We can go into other games. We won, 9 of the last 11 games. Yeah, it's been a crap start this season, but it's not as if we've sold all of those players off and brought new ones in and we're struggling to see them gel. That would be a worry for me, like a genuine worry. Yeah, I think it's knee-jerk, basically, to be doing that as it would also be knee-jerk if we were first. Like last season. Are we going to win the league? The season before? We could be first at Christmas. Are we in a title race? Yeah, we are, until we're not. Are we in a relegation battle? Yeah, until we're not. We don't know what's going to happen.
If forget the Europa League, I know you'll just give me an answer here that will be, I don't know. But if you had to put a league position...
Honest now,
from what you've seen so far, what would you go with genuinely? Because I think we'll pick up and get better, right?
I don't know, mate.
But not to be like, oh yeah, well, pre-season now. I think Villa will finish fifth. I think we all had us as fifth. No way am I putting us fifth now. I think if we even finished, I think we'll finish top half. I think we'll be 10th or 9th is where I'd put us now. I think we'll improve a bit, but still not be enough to fight for Europe.
Yeah,
because I do think we'll go far into the Europa League as well. That would be my prediction now, which I don't think is a good season if that ends with not winning the Europa League and you're out of Europe. It's a bad season. Yeah. You win the Europa League and finish 11th, happy days, I think. But I don't see us finishing 16th and we get knocked out in the quarter-final of the Europa League. I don't see it being that bad.
So far, I think you've got to look at it as more of who's better than Villa, and that's the obvious top four with Chelsea in it. Tottenham 5, Newcastle aren't far away from us at all, but you'd probably say they're better than us at the moment. Of course you would. So 6, Bournemouth better than us.
At the moment, yeah, Palace.
Probably Palace, Brighton, that's 9 teams. So, yeah, you'd probably put us mid-table-ish, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know. But again, that could be lower if we don't pick up form. It could be higher if we do. But at the moment, it's been 5 bad games, and that's what it is. It's 5 bad games. It could be 10 bad games, and then we'll return to these questions then. But right now, we talk about relegation. We talk about winning a title. We don't know. No idea.
It won't be either of those.
No, but it's in when we were really good. We started the season so well. People are talking about, can we? What do we need to win the title? How many players do we need to sign? And yeah, fine. But again, that's going too high, and now we're going too low.
Yeah.
Fair. As Unai would say, it's the balance.
Okay, final question of this Q&A then. I'm not Emery out yet, but it is getting hard to defend him. I think we need to refresh the squad and get rid of all of the Smith and Gerrard players.
That's all of our players.
As they are all past their sell-by dates. I don't want to hear things like, who are we going to get that's better than Watkins? Because that's not our job. And that one is from John Townley.
Terrible name.
I mean, the thing about the Smith and the Gerrard signings is the new Hawkeye for me. It's just everywhere. Oh, yeah, we got 17. Yeah, right. How many times do we have to say it, or do I have to say it? Right now, yeah, bad. Conser is England's best centre-back. Ollie Watkins can probably be up there as England's...
Sorry, one of England's better centre-backs.
Yeah, the England national team.
Yeah, just you said he was the best.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of the best. Would be starting for England for me.
Okay, yeah.
So he's one of the best. He's one of the best 2 then. Watkins is up there as one of the league's most consistent strikers and is England's second striker behind Kane. Morgan Rogers, we go in the summer. He's a £100 million player.
Tielemans one of the best midfielders.
Tielemans one of the best threes. Kamara one of the best midfielders. Oh, and Tielemans, what a duo! They were free. Oh, what a great piece of business. Blah 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 blah. But they were signed under Dean Smith. Yeah, but they're still here because they're good. If it was like the ones you said before, like Samatta was still your striker and he was signed. Yeah, problem because he's. You're talking about good players, that's why they're still here.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the issue that it's relating to. I don't know if it's explicit in the question, but it's more, is it time to... Well, this actually says there, is it time to refresh the squad? Yeah.
It was time to refresh it.
It was. Yeah, you're taking 40 million of pure profit of Ramsey and we can't spend a penny of it.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? Sell Watkins for... 40-ish?
40 or 50 and be able to spend 30 or 40. That's not a refresh, is it? No. I think we do need 4 or 5 new first team signings, permanent signings. And you do sell Rodgers for 70 and that allows you to do that. And I think that is what we'll probably see next summer.
But then I also think different. This is down, again, this is down to the players for me. Because they have the ability. So what are we saying? Oh, it's got stale because they're not quite in it, or maybe they wanted that move and they didn't get it, and blah, blah, blah. No, they're still good players. They can still do well for Aston Villa. We just need them to do that. We need them to concentrate and realise that this is where you are this season, like it or not. Winners are true. Like that, there's a lot to look forward to this season. And again, for a team that did so well for us in the back end of the last campaign, and now we're saying we need a refresh. Yeah, that's true. on the 22nd of September, that can't happen. Okay, so what's the next thing? The players have to get their act together.
Yeah.
That's it. And yeah, again, we spoke about Unai. There's blame that he needs to shoulder as well. But equally, the players, for me, the ones on the pitch, that against 10 men Sunderland, Emery can't, push them into place like some sort of like superpower to stop a Granit Xhaka heading the ball to Wilson Isidore. So, yeah, I understand the question, but whether they're past the sell-by date or whatever, for me, that doesn't happen in the space of weeks and months. These players, again, nearly knocked PSG out of the Champions League. And it wasn't just like a fluke one-off game or whatever. They also competed very well against PSG in the away match, lost that third goal by really frustrating circumstances. And then again in the league, did so well to nearly get back in the Champions League. Last season could have been an incredible achievement to get back in the Champions League, and we came so close to doing it. And now we're looking at these players saying, no, they're not good enough anymore. Well, what we're seeing on the pitch is that they aren't being good enough. But then if these players get moves elsewhere or had moves elsewhere, maybe they'd be firing in goals and they'd be playing well for X amount of teams. So then that brings me back to, they're still good players. We just need to see it at Villa now. And they need to screw their heads on to being, whatever's happened has happened. But this is still a group that has been so successful and can still be successful. We're not talking about players who are 33 and over the hill. Some of them potentially kind of getting there, but we're talking about young Morgan Rogers, Tielemans in his prime, really. Kamara approaching his best level, his best years. Shall I say Watkins again, experienced player. McGinn, Martinez. There's so much there that you'd say, this is a good thing if you look at the squad. But on the pitch, we're just not seeing it, and I just think that it's up to them now to really kind of come together and work out what the hell has been going on and react.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, there can be a couple of players like Luca Dean. Could his leg go over the summer? Yeah, maybe.
Like, that's why you have a 30 million, 35 million.
Maybe a couple of players can just kind of fall off a cliff, but not the whole team. This is something that I'm certain will get better. And if it doesn't, I'm going to look stupid for saying I believe in the club to turn things around. Oh no, like whatever. But I hate that kind of gotcha attitude we have amongst the fan base. I'm sure others have it as well, but you said about winning the Europa League. Does John still think we'll win the Europa League and it's a failure if we don't?
I never said that we would win the Europa League. I said it would be a failure if we don't win the Europa League.
Oh, but does he still believe that because we started the season badly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume you still do believe that.
Yeah.
Do you really want to say that Villa won't get relegated? That might look stupid in the summer. No, it won't. Villa will look stupid if they get relegated because we're far better than that.
This has been terribly bad. It's been an atrocious start to the season. Everyone knows that. But it's the same in life, to be honest with you, not to get too deep, but again, it's never as bad as you think and it's never as good as you think. That's the key thing. Is this bad? Yeah, like really poor. It's been terrible. But is it all right, let's forfeit the rest of the season because we're just not going to be good enough? And no, this can turn around in the space of 2 weeks. It can.
We could be sitting here this time next week.
I don't know.
We could sit here this time next week and we beat Bologna and Fulham.
Yeah. Maybe.
We could sit here next week and we've lost them both.
Exactly that, yeah. And this is the kind of thing, just to finish, we've been really bad and the signs are, okay, this could continue. But equally, the bigger sample size is that we then return to form at some stage. Hopefully that happens. I'm not saying it will, but it's not as if we're talking about, I don't know, like the Gerrard era where we struggle to win 2 games in a row for the space of a year. Yeah. There's no evidence to say that we're now going to win 4 in a row, whatever it may be, that we'd have to, like we did under Emery afterwards. Is the sample size there that this can happen with this team? Yeah, there is. So that's why we're still somewhat confident, or we have belief that we can turn this round. I don't know how long that's going to be. It could take 2 months. I don't know. And if in December we're mid-table and 7 points off 6th or, I don't know, 7th or even 8th, okay, well, that's not a million miles away. But to look that far in the future, firstly, and rightly so, probably riles people up because we need to concentrate on what is going on right now and fixing it for the first half of Bologna. That's what we need to focus on. And to talk about anything in the future now is, for me, it's redundant. I'm not too fussed about we can talk about anything that happens in December, January, even what happens at the end of the season. No, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? We need to concentrate right now on how to fix things quickly. That's the key point. Because if we don't, then you are just sleepwalking and you've lost your season objective. You're going to be in trouble. Those things will happen. So we need to focus on the here and now more than anything else.
that's an end for this week's Q&A. That was the last question. So, John, thanks for coming round. Appreciate it. Good chat.
Was it?
Well, I always say when I promote it, like, I enjoyed it, which sounds mad, but it's good to just talk through it, I find. So, hopefully people enjoyed listening as well. If you did, let us know in the comments on Spotify or YouTube. Thanks for getting involved in your questions as well. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Catch. Oh, good.
So fans.